Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
I'm so glad you joined me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn all about red quinoa. We'll demonstrate a technique called overstamping and share some whimsical and elegant treats made with candy bark. One of my guests today is Carol Finster, and she's an author and nutritionist. Carol will explain what red quinoa is and why it's so good for us. Since it's a complete protein, it's a great component for healing advanced muscle loss. Her business is Savory Palate Incorporated in Centennial, Colorado. Another guest is Ann Butler, and she's a designer and crafter from Villard, Minnesota. Ann's going to show how easy it is to create an awesome effect for your work by combining different specialty stamps and inks to make a one-of-a-kind background. Her business is Ann Butler Designs. And my first guest is Nancy Seiler, and she's going to demonstrate making whimsical and elegant treats featuring candy bark made with candy melts and numerous embellishments. She represents Wilton Industries in Woodridge, Illinois. Nancy, I can remember when you first started telling us about the candy melts, it was for holiday candies. That's the only time most of us ever make candies. But it's so versatile, we can use it for all kinds of things, can't we?
Absolutely, because you've got the cocoa, you've got the white that you can color if you want to. You've got a lot of colors. And we have a new color burst out now that you can use. And I think it looks really pretty when you actually put it together.
And we can make what we call the candy bark.
And I just put some different things together because I thought, well, people usually think, oh, you just put, you know, at Christmas time, some
whiter chocolate
with some crushed peppermint. But, you know, you can see here the red, white, and blue with the crushed peppermint. You can see the color burst with some little chocolate drops in them. Some pearl drops on top of the others. And, you know, the yellow one out there, I thought, I thought that was pretty for a baby shower, but it could be just for spring, too, because it's got the spring colors in it.
Mother's Day.
And the other thing I will tell you, when you break in it, the larger the pieces, the easier they are to arrange in a bowl. So people may want a smaller piece, and they can break off a piece, but you know, for show, you really want to kind of have the big geometric break pieces so that they look really nice.
And like you say, and used to, they were either white or chocolate, but now they come in just a wider range of colors.
They do. And the only difference between this and chocolate, it's the type of fat. This is called a confectionery coating, and one of the attractive reasons for using this is because you don't have to temper it like you do chocolate.
That used to take a lot of time.
So you don't have to be careful with it at all.
And so, melting it's important because you can't overcook it. You can actually burn it, can't you?
Yes, you can. You don't want to do it more than a minute and do it at 50% power. Stir it up. It comes in little discs. Stir it up, and then just keep doing it until it's the fluid and everything has melted. But yes, 50% power.
So you don't overcook it.
And then this is the new color burst, and you can see the little pieces of color in there.
Oh, this is how it comes?
This is how it comes, and you can see that they stay whole. No, I didn't add anything to it yet. It comes that way, and you can see that the pieces stay whole. And then what you do is you're just going to spread it. This is a cake board that's been covered with parchment. You could use wax paper if you wanted to. You could put it on a cookie sheet. You can spread it as thick or as thin as you want. You can put waves in it like that. And you actually could just break it that way. What you're going to do is put this in the refrigerator for probably, with the thickness that I have it here, at least 15 minutes.
Oh, that's
But
fast.
what I wanted to do is add some extra little oomph, and these are just like rainbow chips. And you can see it heightens the color that you have in the chips. And then when you break it, you'll get the little chip crunch, which is very tasty, I might add.
And so you don't put it in the freezer, you just put it in the regular...
You put it in the freezer if you want to. 10 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes in the fridge, and you're ready to go.
Oh, that's
so.
fast.
I mean, if you have somebody stop by, or they call and they say, "Oh, I'm coming over. You can do this really quick." And you go, "Oh, I made this just for you."
And you did.
And now this is the cocoa, and I'm going to show you how to marble it. There's a couple of ways that you can do. I could take some of this, put it in here, and then stir it around with a spatula. But I tend to over stir it. So what I'm going to do is just kind of dribble it in here in a couple of different patterns. Nothing really particular. And you can use dark, you can use light, and I'm just putting a little bit there.
Again, less is better because you can always add more.
Well, you can always go back and add it. And then I'm going to take the white, and I'm just going to kind of fill in between, because this is actually going to marble when I pull a spatula through it. I don't want to get too much. Like I said, I usually tend to not get my marbling quite as pretty because I put too much and I stir too much. And then with that is I'll just kind of spread it together, and you can see how it just takes any kind of pattern. Now I need to pull this down because I've got some holes here, but that doesn't make any difference because when you break it, it's going to look however you want.
And it's going to be eaten no matter what.
Absolutely. Then I've got some little, what we call peppermint pearls, and I'll drop those on some of the side. Now, you know, with the white, I maybe would put a little bit more dark on top and then drop those in. But, you know, they're just kind of for added texture. You don't have to add them if you don't want to. But
now this is something new. I've never worked with that.
This is basically edible glitter. It's pearlized sugar. So that you have
pretty. What other colors does it come in?
You actually have it in silver, gold, pink, and there's one other color which all of a sudden is escaping my mind. But you can see it adds a little bit of an elegance to it. So if you wanted like an adult party.
And that's what you did on this one too. Put it again in the refrigerator for 10 or 15 minutes.
And that's
the wax paper makes it easier to get it out of the pan, doesn't it?
I mean, you don't have to. And then you basically break it. And see, this would be like a nice big piece. Oh, that broke. Maybe I have to eat that.
Right.
But see, these big pieces will fit like in a nice serving container. You can lay them on top of a serving plate like this if you want to, but I really like a lot more drama. So
like in the bowls.
Like in the bowls like we had over there. But you can see that's all you need to do, and we'll put this off to the side. Somebody will probably eat it. That's bark.
That's it.
Use cinnamon drops. You could use any kind of candy that's out there that's maybe your favorite candy and sprinkle on top. Again, I'm a little bit more over the top for drama, so I like to put some extra things in there, but it looks quite nice just without anything.
Well, I like just knowing that all of the different items are available if we do want to do that. So thank you so much for showing this to us.
Oh, it's fun.
And thank you so much for being here today. You do a lot of stamping, all kinds of crafting, quilting, so I'm just going to put you on the spot. Have you ever made a mistake when you were doing some of these things?
Yes, but I don't consider them mistakes. I consider them creative opportunities to come up with something else.
And that's how you came up with this over-stamping technique, which as people are going to see, it looks like quilting because that's really what it is, sort of. But just so that people will understand what we're talking about, let's just take a look at a few of the examples. This is paper. This same technique works on paper as well as fabric.
Yes, it does.
And when we say a mistake, well, first let me show them. This is white paper that you've stamped on, and I do a lot of card making and scrapbooking, and I hadn't thought about making my own background, but this has, how many stamps used in this?
Let me see. I think that one has 6.
6. So if you don't, and this is in a bigger sheet, again, this was just white paper to start with.
This one was a printed one.
Oh, this was printed paper.
So you can go right over your printed cardstock and create a whole new cardstock.
Oh yeah, I thought this was white again.
Yeah, so for this one, you're over-stamping on already printed background.
Yeah, and I have some background paper that I think, why did I ever buy that? So this way you can
Or you buy
remedy
too
that.
much of something.
Now, what was this print? This was a background stamp?
This was also this was just little polka dots. So I over-stamped it, you know, to give it a new look.
Yeah, I had to look closely at that.
And that one too. This was red paper.
Just solid?
Yep, so then I just over-stamped to give it a new look.
And this shows the stamping technique in fabric.
Right, but the over-stamping is like with this piece, this is nice and dark, but right here it's kind of light, and maybe somebody isn't going to like that. I don't mind that because it's kind of vintage, but if you want to correct this, that's where an over-stamping came in for me.
Oh, okay, and you're going to show us that. But what if you've made, and this, believe it or not, people, these are stamped pieces, and they've just been quilted in between the rows. But say you get almost through, and then you realize, oh, you've either run out of ink or it just didn't do well.
Yeah, it was too light, and you go, oh my goodness, I have this whole piece done, what am I gonna do? That's where overstamping comes in. Yep.
Well, to show how quilts were made, let's first just take a look. These are all of your patterns. These are clear stamps. You also have them in the
red rubber. Yep.
Sometimes people prefer one over the other for various reasons.
Right, and they both work the same because there's no lip on the stamps. So You can use them in combination with each other even,
you
because
can.
they all butt up next to each other.
And you'll show us when you put one together. Beautiful ink pads, and what I like, these are really juicy.
They are.
There's a lot of ink on them. And additional patterns showing how to use stamps in different combinations. And then let's go ahead and show how you put those together. And like you say, your concept was so that they could butt up against each other to create something like this.
Yep, so you're able to we can use the red rubber in combination with the clear and create a pattern.
Now, what about the differences in the thickness?
Well, okay, so like this I would put together to
take one off and stamp.
Right, I would take the red one off, but I can put it there to get it exactly where I want it, to line it up. And then I just take this off and I can do this in one color and then come back with this. Otherwise, if you wanted to do it all at once, you can use the clear.
And the same thing with them with the red. Okay.
Right, so the overstamping, like sometimes when you stamp,
oh yeah, you can see some of it's kind of washed out looking.
It was too light.
Too
Maybe
light.
you didn't get enough ink on there. So to fix that, you can overstamp. Like this
You
is
added
the same.
the black.
I added the black in another pattern. So you have one pattern underneath, and just come back with, because there's so many different patterns and geometric shapes that you can come back with another pattern to create a whole new look. And
so
then
like you say,
solve
it's
that
not
problem.
a mistake. It's just an
not.
opportunity.
Definitely.
I like that.
Yeah. So what you do, I'm going to open this up.
And quilters use all cotton, so I'm assuming that that's what this works best on too.
100% muslin. Yep. And then this here is a laser square, and what it does when you're actually stamping the whole thing out, you can turn this on, and it has a sliding.
Oh, yeah, and it goes clear across. It's on me.
It goes clear across, all the way across the room. But it's easy to line it up to stamp straight, because some people might have difficulty. It really helps.
Oh, yeah, and if you have one that's just out of place, it might distort the whole thing.
Right, so that helps a lot.
So you've got this. You're going to show us how to correct those light places.
So I'm going to use the
It's kind of a plaid.
Yep. And then you can come back with any color, but I'm going to use black. And these are fabric safe inks. They're by Clear Snap, and they're Crafters inks.
And it will say on there if you can use, this says for fabric, wood, and more.
So then you're able to heat set it with an iron. And that's what makes it fabric safe. So you're able to just take this, and then because there's no lip here, you're able to line it up perfectly on that stamp that you had just done.
That you want to
That you want to correct. Yep.
Just press it down.
Press it down.
Oh my gosh, that's even prettier than it was.
Right.
That is amazing.
So when you're
like
doing
it
your
better.
quilts, you can come up with your own combinations, and you can do, I mean, it's simply endless between the geometric shapes, the colors, and you can combine them.
And I assume you could use printed fabric as well,
you can
just
use
like you can
printed
in
fabric.
paper.
Yep. I use a lot of tone on tone or soft pinks, or because then it really makes it pop. And like with this, nobody can tell that it's not all little tiny squares.
No, I certainly didn't think it was. And we might go ahead and show on this. This was actually a white card.
That was white.
This was all white, and it's been overstamped with the black and pink.
Well, I did the pink first. It is different because if you do the pink and do the black, it'll be different if you do the black first with the pink on top.
Oh, yeah.
Depending upon which stamps you're using and the patterns you have. And then I die cut these out, and I used the laser square to get all of these layers straight on
Very
the card.
important.
And then this one,
this was just a plain piece of white paper.
And it's pink and yellow.
Oh, how pretty.
So then it kind of looks orange.
So if what you're making, certainly if you don't have the right color background, that can ruin the whole thing, or you have to go to the store and buy one single sheet of paper or something. This is a great way to use up scraps too, isn't it? Because I save every little inch of scrapbooking supplies. And fabric as well. Quilters save lots of pieces of fabric that they've bought.
Yep, all those little pieces left over, because you can, like this one was quilted or stamped out on a whole piece, or you can do it individually on blocks and sew them together.
Right, like we had on this pink. This would have made one block.
Yep, but that way you can
this
correct it.
And how much faster is all of this, like the quilting effect, than it would be to do it by hand or even by machine?
Right. Yep, sewing it by machine too. Yep, this is quick.
Well, congratulations. It's a great concept, and the dye, you could just probably go forever and never have the same pattern repeat.
Right.
Well, I really appreciate you being here and showing this to us.
Thank you so much.
Carol, thank you so much for being here. I have to tell you, you were the first person that ever talked to me about quinoa. I had to write it down because it's certainly not spelled like it sounds. And since then, I've experimented with a little bit of it, usually just in place of rice. But let's talk a little bit about what quinoa is and how we look for it. And you always have some quinoa recipes in your gluten-free cookbooks.
I do, because it's such a wonderful substitute for things that we can't eat. Quinoa is actually from South America, and it's actually a seed, not a grain, but we call it a grain all the time because we treat it like a grain.
I always thought it was just like rice.
I know, but we cook it like rice. We buy it in 3 different versions now. One is the traditional white or tan color, which is the one that most of us would have remembered.
That's all I've used.
That's all we've seen. And until recently, maybe a year or two, now we're finding black quinoa. And now we're finding red quinoa, which is what I want to focus on today. But quinoa is extraordinarily nutritious. It's got all 8 essential amino acids. And it's one of the few plants that have all that. Normally we have to get essential amino acids from animal products. But let's say that you don't want to eat animal products, or you just want to amp up your intake of plants, then this is a wonderful way to do it. And I think that the protein in this particular seed is especially important for people who are aging and have something called sarcopenia, which is a form of muscle loss. We all get it. I have it. It's just the natural progression of aging. Now, they say that exercise and weightlifting are supposed to be good for muscles, but there's also experts who feel that what we eat is an important component.
I think so too.
Right. And so getting a good quality protein in your diet is important. And so this is a great plant-based source of protein for people.
Well, I'm just glad to know about the other varieties. I thought it was always white.
I know.
Did you start eating the quinoa and experimenting with it because of the muscle loss, or was it because of the gluten intolerance?
I have been eating quinoa for probably 20 years because it's an ancient grain. Again, we use that word. It kind of fell out of favor centuries ago because of political problems in South America. It had a resurgence about 20 years ago in the United States. And I started eating it then because I was looking for anything that I could eat that wasn't gluten-free, that was healthy and kind of like a grain, even though it's not a grain. So, no, I didn't eat it. Back then, I wasn't experiencing muscle loss at all. I am now. And so I'm trying to keep good quality protein in my diet all the time, and this is an excellent way to get it.
Is it an expensive as rice, or less?
Oh, much more expensive.
Much more.
Right, much more expensive. I don't have the exact price comparison, depends on where you buy it. But it's such high quality that it's a good idea. You can always blend it with other grains. Maybe you can blend it with a little bit of rice. You would get some quinoa and some rice. I would cook it with brown rice.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because brown rice is really healthy for you.
Now, I think I read that it has a little coating or a shell or something around it?
You can't see it with the naked eye, but it has a coating that's called saponin, which is a word we've never heard before. It's spelled S-A-P-O-N-I-N. And it is there, nature put it there, to protect the seed from birds and insects so they don't eat it.
Yeah, it would be easy to...
It's bitter for them. Well, it's bitter for us too, and it's not going to make us ill, but we're not going to like the taste of it. So what you'll see, originally, most of these were not pre-rinsed, and so you were told to rinse maybe 3 times until the water runs clear. This particular brand, if you look at the cover, it says pre-washed,
pre-washed.
no rinsing. And of course, it cooks in 15 minutes,
that's
which
faster.
is really nice. It's faster than some of the other whole grains that may take 45 minutes to an hour. So that's why we can treat it like rice, because the timing is the same.
And it's like rice in that you can eat it hot or cold.
Exactly. And the salad I'm going to show you today is really good eaten cold or at room temperature. You don't want to heat it because we're going to put all these lovely fruits into it. So.
And this is the red, which we both agree it looks kind of brown.
To me, it's brown. I know. And definitely this is red, this is brown. But it's called red quinoa, so we'll go with what the makers are calling it.
Go ahead and tell us how
Okay, well, I've already cooked it up, and I cooked it up just like I would cook rice, and I have already added the parsley. So what we're going to make is a red quinoa salad that has some wonderfully delicious add-ins. Among the add-ins are pomegranate seeds. And you can buy these already shelled, if that's the right word, to avoid all the problems of doing it yourself. So those add lovely color. This is mandarin oranges that I used canned, but I also like to use the little clementines. If you can get those, these are delicious. These are delicious. And these add wonderful color and variety. And then we're using beets.
Beets.
It's a good way to get. These are the shoestring beets, and they kind of make a nice shape. If you don't want to, if you can't find them, you could cut them yourself, which would be a little bit of work. You can just use.
And you were jokingly saying it's sort of a good way to get people to eat beets. Now I love beets.
They kind of blend into the background, and you're eating beets and don't even know it.
It can sort of get people to experiment with something new.
Exactly. And these are sliced almonds, but you could use whatever nut you would like. This recipe just begs for tinkering, as I like to say.
It's different every time.
It's different every time. So use what you have, but this is a wonderful combination. And so you toss it together until it's, as well blended as you can get. This is an orange juice dressing. It's got sherry vinegar and orange juice, and that's what we're going to put on it. And it's the lovely citrus fruit really really adds terrific flavor.
On your website, we haven't mentioned that is www.savorypalette.com.
That's one of them, and then carolfenster.com is my blog, and then my website. My blog is simply carolfenstercooks.com.
Well, you have lots of wonderful recipes on there. I like to just go and look for something that's easy and something that's new.
Right, and I think red quinoa is something new that people might like to try. So what I've prepared is a plate. You could put this in a bowl, but I've just done a plate so it would be easier to see. You can also mix the spinach in right with the salad if you want.
This is spinach.
This is spinach. This is baby spinach. And you can put it, I've served this at buffets where it can stand on the the counter or the table for quite some time because you're serving it at room temperature. You don't have to worry about spoilage. And then I'd like to garnish it just a little bit.
Need more oranges.
I need more oranges. Whoops. There we go.
It's fast to make once you get it cooked.
Once you get it cooked, and you can cook the quinoa ahead of time.
That's what I wondered, if you could cook it.
Right, and refrigerate it, and you're good to go when you're ready to cook.
Even though we talk about saving time, it only takes 15 minutes, but still.
Right, exactly. And there you are with a quinoa salad
really nice.
That is delicious and fun to eat, and will stay on the buffet table for a couple of hours without any harm.
And like we've talked before, it's so nice when you can serve something that not only tastes good, but is really good for you.
Well, I can guarantee you when I serve this, everyone wants the recipe.
That's good.
Which is a good sign.
I bet the first question they say is, well, what is this brown stuff?
What is that? Yeah.
So it is fun, and like I say, I'm going to start looking for the other colors, and I think I know I'm guilty of when I go to the grocery store, I go up and down the aisle as fast as I can, but occasionally it's nice to take time to see what new things are there.
It is, and by the way, this one is now available in my regular grocery store, the red quinoa, whereas before I usually had to go to the natural food store, or a specialty store. Now it's becoming more mainstream.
Well, that's good to know. Well, thank you so much, Carol, and good luck with your cookbooks. You have another one coming out soon.
Yes, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to use a scissor mouse. We'll share some tips on how to wear jewelry and talk about window treatments and color blocking. One of my next guests is going to demonstrate one of the neatest gadgets to come out in the craft industry. The Westcott Scissor Mouse is safe, no cutting mat is needed, and it's great for kids and can be used on any type of surface. We'll also have a jewelry designer on the next show, and she's going to talk about how to select which jewelry pieces to wear with different outfits or with different pieces of jewelry. And last but not least, we'll talk to an interior designer who's going to show how to update window treatments using a current trend, color blocking. She'll talk about fabric selection, hanging panels, as well as projected cost. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much, and I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We're very pleased to offer a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6800 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information. And it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on the booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We'd also like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. Thank you.